What's going on, guys? Welcome to this video. Honestly, I'm super excited because the new version of Spring Boot has been released a few hours ago. And I made this video specially for you to guide you through the full migration or how to migrate your Spring Boot projects from whatever version you have to the version or to the Spring Boot 3.0 version. And I will walk you through all the major changes and everything that you need to know for realizing or for succeeding this migration. And if you're new to my channel, go ahead, subscribe, enable the notifications and smash the like button so I can continue on producing content like this for you guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, and let's go and start the migration. Before we go and dive into the code and the migration and all this really cool stuff that we will see together in this video, I want to invite you to join our community, the community that we are building right now. It's a community that's really growing so fast, and I'm super happy to see you all there. So thanks a lot and see you in the video. I'm super happy to walk you through this migration guide, but first of all, let's go and have a look on this file or this migration guide that was released by the Spring project. And this one, it was updated 4 hours ago, but it was released, I guess, 24 hours from now. So today it's November 25th. And I was super excited and I couldn't wait to record this video for you. And I want to help you and walk you through the migration. Okay, so as you can see here, like before you start, you need to upgrade to the latest 2.7.x version because there are already some deprecations from the version 2.7.x. And then you need to migrate to this version first, and then you can migrate to the Spring 3. Also, you need to review some dependencies. And here it says that there are configuration properties migration because some of the application properties are deprecated. And if you start or if you migrate to Spring Boot version 3 and start your application, the application might break. So you need to include this dependency, and I will show you how to use this one by the end of this video. So don't skip the video and we will see it together. So the Spring Boot version 3 is based on the Spring Framework 6.0, and also it uses the Jakarta EE, the latest version. So it uses the Jakarta EE 10 version 10. And so many changes have been, well, not so many changes, but it's just moving from javax.something to jakarta.something. We will also see all these details while doing the migration. Also, you can have a look, you can have the time to read this migration guide, and also you can check the change log to have more details about the migration. But now let's go to the most important part and let's start our migration. And to do that, I will use one of my old or existing project, which is already based on the Spring 2.7.x. And for migrating from the 2.6 or an older version than the 2.7, the major changes or the main changes are about the security, and I already have a video about that. So just go ahead, check it if your project is before 2.7. So just go ahead, have a look, fix the deprecation, and then you can start this one. All right, let's go ahead. So as I mentioned before, I will use this project. So it's an old project that I have. Well, not so old, but it's a project that I did in my spare time, just for some trainings and to try things. So it's a complete project with all the layers, with everything, with security, configuration, controllers, and so on and so forth. And also it uses a database. I'm using PostgreSQL for this project. So it's not our goal for today or for this video. I just want to walk you through the migration. But I just wanted to mention that it's a complete project. It's not a sample project with few classes, but it's really a complete project. And as you can see here, like we have everything, and it's even open API with a JWT token, security, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the first thing, as I mentioned before you start migrating, first of all, make sure that your project is using is using a version or greater version than the 2.7.0. So for this project, I'm using the 2.7.4 from the springboot. So if you have an older version, so just go ahead and migrate first to Spring 2.7 point something. I guess the latest version it's 2.7.5, and then they move to Spring 3. So also you will have some deprecations when you will migrate to 2.7 point something, point X, for example. And it's mainly about the security, so I have also a video on how to migrate and remove the deprecation, so just go ahead and check it. Okay, so this is the first thing. Next, let's check what we need to do next in order to have a successful migration. So the first step of migrating, or the first step for migrating to the Spring 3.0.0 is to make sure that you have, or that you are using Java 17 at least. So in order to check that, just using IntelliJ, go to File, and then Project Structure. And here, let me make it full screen. Yeah. And here, make sure when you select project, make sure you are using the SDK Java 17. So like you can download any version you want, but make sure that at least you use Java 17. So this is the first step. If your project is Java, I hope it's not, but if it's before Java 8, so first try to do a Java 8 migration, and then you can migrate to one of the recent versions of Java. Now it's time for the real action. First of all, go ahead, open your pom.xml file, and here just select or migrate the Spring Boot starter parent, like where you have this parent tag, migrate the version to 3.0.0. So 3.0. Sorry, it's 0. Yeah. So 3.0.0, and do not forget to hit this button to load the Maven changes. So let's do it. It will download fast, or like, let's say, depends on your internet connection. So it will download all the dependencies, and yeah, that's it. So this is the first step. Next, we will start checking what we need to change within the code. So like, let's check if the code compiles or not. So as I mentioned before, Spring 3 is using the latest version of Jakarta EE. And Jakarta, they made a change, so they renamed their packages from JavaX to javax.persistence, for example, to jakarta.persistence. So in order to check that without the need to go through all the files that you have or the classes that you have within the project, just right click on your project and hit build module. So it will try, or like then your IDE will build the project, and if there is any compile issue, it will appear right here. So first of all, the first migration or the first fix that we need to do is to rename this one. So for example, the entity annotation, join colon, and so on and so forth, they are no longer part of the package called javax.persistence, but now they are part of jakarta.persistence.something. So in order to do this, like in an easy way, just select javax.persistence and do Command Shift F, add a file mask.java, star.java, like to select only the Java files. And also you can do Command Shift R to open this replacement. And here you can replace javax.persistence to jakarta.persistence. So now we have this Jakarta, and then click on replace all. Yes, replace. And now you can see that all the javax.persistence were now like they were migrated or renamed to jakarta.persistence.something. So just to make sure, right click again and build module, and we will see that now it will select something else. So next one will be the javax.validation. So now let's do the same thing. Command Shift F and then Command Shift R. Make sure that you have the file mask.java, and here just replace this one, Jakarta.validation. Replace all and replace. Next step, as usual, same iteration, build the module, and let's try to detect all the compile issues. So the next one that we need to replace is the javax.servlet is now jakarta.servlet. So Command Z, yeah. It's the same way, click on replace all, replace, and now we're good to go. So let's try to do this until we have no compile issues. Okay, so this we will see it in the next step. If you have security implemented within your application, now I will walk you through this migration too. So first of all, as you can see, we have already some compile issues. Okay, let's do this step by step. The first thing, we see that this authorize requests now is deprecated, and if you go like the best guide or the best way to do that, or like to check that, just always try to go and read the official documentation. So as you can see in here, let me just go back, authorize request. If you do command and click, and also you can see down the shortcut that I'm using. So here, like, you will have the official documentation from Spring, and for example, in case of deprecations, you will see here deprecated, and they will give you what you need to use instead. So here it says use authorized HTTP requests instead. So that's it. Here, let's change this one or replace it with HTTP request. And also the int matchers, they were changed to request matchers. So just replace this one, and for this part, you're good to go. So you have all the changes and everything compiles now. The next step, we see that within this implementation or this security implementation, and as I mentioned before, you can check the full way or the full implementation in my YouTube channel. So just go ahead and check the Spring Boot workshop playlist, and you will have, or you will find plenty of workshops, and especially how to migrate to this, or like remove the security deprecations. All right, so now we need to do something. Okay, let me reduce this one. Also, first of all, we see that this enable global method security. So this is to enable the global method security, and for example, to use the pre-authorized annotations and so on and so forth. If you want to add some security, like to go deeper in the security and use, secure your methods. Okay, I was like talking and thinking about something else. Okay, so in order to do that, like this enable global method security, I will just do the same, just to make you get used to it. So it's deprecated, and here it said like enable method security instead. It's not global, but it's just enable method security. So I'm just gonna import this one, and this property, the pre-post enabled, you no longer need it because it's by default equals true. But if you want to disable it, just override it and here set it to false instead of true. But if you want to use it, just use the annotation. Okay, so now also one other deprecation was removed. Let's move to the next ones. So here we have this authentication provider, which is also like here it doesn't compile, and I will explain why. Next we have the same thing for this user detail service, and here if I highlight it, it will say that let me make it full screen. And here it says that method annotated with bean is called directly use dependency injection instead, because here I'm using directly the user details service as a bean with this annotation. So I can just transform it to auto-wired, or I can extract it to another file or another configuration file. So let's start with that. So the first thing that I will do now is I will create a class here, like to hold all the configurations that I need. And I will explain why I need to move this. So this I will call it app config, or you can call it bean configurations or beans configuration. Okay, let's call it, to make it consistent, beans configuration. Okay. So, and for this beans configuration, I want it to be a configuration. So I will add the configuration annotation in here, and I will start moving all the beans there. So also I will need this authentication provider, Command X, and here I will just paste them and bring the user details or the user repository also, because I need it. Yeah, it's here. And I will also use the required args constructor from Lombok to inject a constructor with all the final properties. Okay, so I will also go back in here, and I will just start fixing these issues. So this is the first one, and in here, within this one, I will inject an authentication manager object. I will make it final also to inject it and to be part of the sorry, not authentication manager, but authentication provider. I'll just rename it. Yeah, okay, so this one is now green. I will optimize the imports. You can see also, as I mentioned, you can see the shortcut that I'm using. So the next step is okay, I'm a bit lost. Yeah, so we still need this required args constructor, enable web security, and also here we need the annotation configuration. Why this? Because if I go to the enable web security, the first thing that I will see here, so add this annotation to and add configuration class to have the Spring security configuration defined in web security configure adapter, and more likely blah blah blah. So if you don't add this configuration in here, this bean will not be injected. Okay, and the default security filter chain class will be used instead. So all this configuration that you have in here will not be used. So that's why when you enable the web security, make sure or think always about the add configuration annotation going with it. Also, I think this one, okay, let's keep it, because I don't remember that I used the method security, but yeah, I'm just gonna keep it, because in here I think it's commented out. Yeah. All right, so this is the first step. Let's go back in here, check this class. So everything is working fine, everything is compiling, and yeah, that's it. So now let's run the application and make sure that everything still working. Now let's run our application and make sure that the application is working as expected and as it used to work before. And to test that, I have like few endpoints, but I will be testing, for example, this authentication controller, which gives me an API /v1/auth, and I have a register and authenticate method. Okay, so I will try to create a new user in my application and just to check if everything is still working fine. For that, I will be using Postman, and here I have everything pre-configured and ready to use. So here, this is the endpoint. So like the application is started on the port 8080 and it's API v1 auth/register. And the body here, all I need to provide first name, last name, email, and password. Okay, so I will just go ahead and click send. All right, so it's not working. I have a 500 exception or internal server error. So I will go and check the issue. I will open the console in here and scroll to the top, and I will check what is this exception. So the first thing that we can see here, it's no more pattern data allowed after slash or sorry, not slash but star or star pattern element. And this is coming from our security configuration. So I will open it again, security config, and it's exactly coming from this line. So for this line, like the new version or the new Spring version does not allow any pattern element after the star or double star. So to fix that, you can say, for example, like to be precise, /API/v1/auth/ anything if you want, of course, to authorize or to permit all the access to this authentication controller. So let's restart again the application and see. Okay, let's give it a second try. I will click on send and see what will happen. So here we see that we have a 403. It's forbidden, but this is not the case because this endpoint should be open to any access. I will check my console and see if there is something wrong. So this 403 is because of this trailing slash. So it's because of this slash that we have at the end of this URL. And this is a topic that I will cover by the end of this video. So don't skip the video and I will explain it to you. So now I will send again and go back and check if everything is working fine. We see that we still have a 403. I will go back and check why we have this issue. Okay, I'm gonna open run, expand this one, and we see that we have an issue. We have an exception already in here. So here it says that java.lang lost not found, and it's JavaX XML bind data type converter. And this, it's coming from the JWT utils. And the JWT utils, we see that we have in here, or we are using, this is the method where we are generating the token. Okay. Let me show you how to fix this one. First of all, I will open my pom.xml file. Let me put this in full screen. So as you can see here, we are using the JJWT dependency for the JSON web token or to generate the JWT token. And this one also needs to be migrated. So let me walk you through this migration. So in order to upgrade this JJWT dependency, so first of all, we need to, we need to use the JJWT API instead. It's from the same package, and here we need to use the version 0.11.5. Also, we need to add another dependency, which is also the JJWT implementation from the same group and also the same version, and a third one. So because I already tried that and JJWT, and we need also the Jackson one for the serialization. So I already tried this migration before, and I know that we need these three dependencies together. Okay, now you need to hit this one. Okay, don't forget to reload your Maven project. Now, before we restart our application, and first of all, we need to go and just check few things in here, because we have one deprecation. So this method sign with is now deprecated. Like the method that takes as parameter the one that takes the algorithm and JWT signing key is deprecated. So like the new method that we need to use instead, I will open it, and here they already let me show it to you. Like here they already deprecated, and they recommend using the new method signing with. Like we need to provide the key, and the key is an object from the java.security package. I will show you how to create an object key or an object of type key. And yeah, as I mentioned, it takes also a signature algorithm. Okay, but before that, make sure that your signing key, because I also face the same issue, make sure that your signing key is more or greater than 256 bits. Okay, otherwise you will have, or you will face some issues. If you want to check that one, just make it as I did here. Just call it secret, and then you will find out that that it will not work. Okay, so I will use a 256 bits signing key for this one. So this is my key. Actually, I generated using a signing key generator online. Now I will go back and use this one, or like fix this one. So as I mentioned, it takes a signing key and the algorithm. Okay, I will keep the same algorithm, and here I will just create a method. I will call it get signing key. Okay, and this method, yeah, I want to create it here, and I need it to return a key. Okay, so now for this method, what we need to do, it's so easy. So I will create an array of bytes. I will call it key bytes equals decoders, and let's use these decoders from the same package, dot base 64, the one in uppercase, dot decode. Okay, and what we want to decode, we want to decode the JWT signing key that we have in here. So we want to decode this one. Okay, then we need to return simply here keys dot keys dot hmac sha key for this key bytes. Yeah, and that's it. This is how you can generate an object of this key. Okay, of this type key. All right, so this is the fix. Now I will restart the application and check again if everything is working fine. Okay, so I will stop, rerun, and then I will go back to my Postman, and I will hit the send button and see if my application now is running or not. So just a reminder here, while the application is, so when I call the register endpoint, it will just create a user, and it will return an authentication response that contains the token or the string token as a response body. Okay, so the application is started. Now I will go back to Postman and hit the send button. Okay, so here I will click send, and the request is sending, and wow, we see here that now the application is working. Okay, and yep, that's it for this part. Now I will go and explain to you like the trailing slashes issue. Okay, let's go back to that part, and I will show you how to fix that. If you already have, for example, if you already have clients, or for example front-end applications that are using some of the endpoints with these trailing slashes, and if you have that, you need to do some fixes in order not to break those applications. Okay, so the migration is almost done. Like now we have a working state, and we can, for example, like use our endpoint and use the register. You can also use the other endpoints. But one thing that I promised to explain is the trailing slashes. Okay, so I will go back here, and like within the register, I will add slash at the end, and I will send again. And here I see that it's 403 forbidden. Why? Because this endpoint is not authorized. Like I don't have it in my security configuration in here. So here I'm just authorizing /auth/ something. And this is what we call trailing slashes. And it was like before, it was by default supported. So in case you do, for example, /register or /register/, it works for both of them, but now it's no longer the case. Okay, and the way to fix that, like there are two options. The first one is you can come here to your mapping, to your mapping, for example, this post mapping or get and so on and so forth, and you know that the post mapping or this mapping methods, they accept a list of routes. Okay, so I'm just gonna make it a list of routes, and here what we can do, we can add a new route /register/. Like you can do that. Like you can, for example, for all the endpoints where you need trailing slashes, you can add a double or a second route. Okay, let's first try this one. I'm gonna restart the application, and then we will within this slash see if everything still working or not. And then I will also show you another way or a different way how you can fix this the trace, but it's a deprecation, and it's just a temporary solution that you can implement just in case you have, for example. So this, like the second solution that we will see right away, is a better fix to fix the trailing slashes until you do a full migration, like you fix all the usages, for example, with all the customers or the API client or the rest, your REST client. Okay, so I will go back to Postman, right? And the second way to fix the trailing slashes and to make it global for all the application, and without a need to go and update each of the controllers or each of the endpoints and adding a second route with a trailing slash, what we can do, we can create a config class or a configuration class. Let's call this one web MVC configurer or configuration or config, call it whatever you want. So this one, we need to implement an interface web MVC configurer. Here it doesn't ask to implement any methods, because all the methods within this one or this interface are default methods. Okay, so now I would just click on implement methods, and here we need to implement or to override this configure path match, and we need only one line within the method, which is configure dot set use trailing slashes. Okay, use trailing true, and like this it slashes this. So that was it about the migration. It might be a bit more complicated or a bit more in deep. It depends on the complexity of the project, but for the project that I used to do or to realize this migration, and you saw it's not that complicated. Only you really need to pay attention about the details that you have within the project. Try to read the exceptions, try to analyze them, and if you need anything, just go ahead, contact me and ask the question, leave a comment, and I will try to answer as fast as possible. Okay, so if you are facing a major problem while migration, let me know and I will try to make a video about that too. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so I can continue on producing videos like this for you. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next video.